Around us, we have used the word special children, special people, and that's kind of been termed with people with some level of deformity or the other. But in actual fact, we are all special people. In that, we all have giftings different from each other. We all have skill sets different from each other. That if we look at it holistically, is a blessing to the world. Your own gifting is different from mine, but without me being a part of this whole ecosystem, life would be boring, or a part of life would be missing, right? So it makes me think about people that we otherwise call special because they have some level of deformity. But have you thought about creatives? How they come out, like this gentleman that said so many punchlines that we were like, deep stuff. But growing up, very few people understand him. They'll feel like that guy is just a weird person. Like the way he thinks, the way he talks, the kind of things he wants to do is kind of different. But in fact, nothing successful comes out of the normal. Think about Iyesi. I mean, who wears sack? Like, think about Kanye West. I mean, we all know Kanye. And we all mentioned Elon Musk. Who even thinks of going vacation out of space? But amazing ideas are born out of the extraordinary. What would typically call magic, or like seemingly out of the thing outside of this whole space, right? I'll use my life as an example. How many of you have that person in your family that you call the black sheep of the family? Right? I'm a perfect example of that description. So, my dad is an engineer, and he believes every child of his should know maths. And he finds it hard for me not to comprehend sine and cosine, algebra, because my elder sister found it very, very easy. He found it difficult for me not to understand quantitative reasoning and prefer verbal reasoning. My mom is also a teacher, so she kind of makes excuses for me that you'll get by. So having gone through elementary school, primary school, he came to a conclusion that this guy is just an average student. And he's just there. So when it's time to call out a student, he said, now my other side is the science, then she's the smart one, you have the middle one and the last one. So I'm like the guy in the middle, so I'm like that black sheep of the family. So for my dad, it was, so life went on that way, and then I said, okay, it's time for me to go to art class. And I said, there you go again. Well, why would you want to be a lawyer? You left medicine, you left engineering, you left, name it, sciences, and then you want to go. How would you leave that and go to arts? Intentionally, I failed the aptitude test that would lead into science class. And then they called my dad. Do we ship him to art class or somehow squeeze him into science class? And they asked me, young man, so what would you do? I said, there we go, art class. And he said, okay, well, he has always been in the black sheep of the family, so let's just allow him and see what happens afterwards. But somehow, I got into art class, and I made up my mind to prove a point. In my senior secondary school, SS1, I became the first art student to break the history of the school by being an assistant timekeeper. In fact, that's what I have is a proper sit down discussion and say, are we going to allow these art students be an assistant timekeeper? And then it was time to choose the assistant senior prefect, and they're like, no, we are not going to allow this guy run the game. So, so for the first time in the history of the school, they had an election to say, by default, we cannot allow this guy hold either the senior prefect position or the assistant. Probably social prefect or punctuality prefect will be fine. Or labor or dedicated. So we had an election. I was best male student in our class. So they put me side by side with best male student from science class. And we had an election, and eventually I won. Then there was another after meeting. It's like whether we should swap positions or allow it to go. So the teacher said had their own election. And I said, okay, show of hands, how many people want this guy to be the assistant? Somehow, they did not agree to add 99 in government, he had 97 in physics. And they're like, okay, based on priority, let's just allow him get the assistant senior prefect position. So I broke the issue of the school the second time by being the first art student to be assistant timekeeper. So my dad then said, maybe secondary school. I wrote by Roger, I'm going to university. Unfortunately, when I was being welcomed into Unilag, my sister was escorted out of Unilag. Not because she graduated, but because she was advised to withdraw. So there was that moment that, are you going to follow that same path or you would make a difference? So a family member actually told me, he said, don't let the fact that you came out tops from secondary school give you a false mindset. This is university and this is Unilag, University of First Choice. So it was a difficult struggle. So I made up my mind to pick points. And I told them, you know what? I will do everything possible to graduate as one of the best. My first CGPA was 4.20. And somebody said, that can be a fluke, anybody can do that. Then when I got to the same person that told me, when I got to my 400 level, I went to his office and I said, okay, here is my CGPA. I'm currently on 4.0. But I will not graduate to the first class for a reason. Because I want to start selling property, even as a student. By the way, I got my first property when I was 17. My first house is around Kinala here. And God told me to sow it back to him, so there's a God factor to my life. And then I sold it back to him, and then, like I said, everyone is special in their own way, right? So I got my first house when I was 17, and on my almost 18th year birthday, God told me to sow it back to him. And I was like, God, how? I eventually did, and that was like the beginning of my journey to real estate. So I told that person, I'm not going to graduate the first class. Not because I cannot, but because I want to employ first class in my office when I begin to do real estate. So I started selling real estate as a student. I started selling property as a student. So I don't have enough time to focus and still do my business as a student. But I will employ everyone that comes my way that is smart enough to graduate the first class. No offense to the first class, but you guys are, you know. Now, I graduated eventually with second class of that's like before at the time. So I told my dad, okay, now we are done with Unilag. And the person that told me Unilag can be a fluke said, let's see if you can make it through to law school and pass law school. So in law school, you graduate with your lowest grade. So if you have AAF, you graduate with F. So he said, so let's see if you can replicate the same in law school. And then I went to law school, and of course, God helped me to graduate also later. So I told that person attended my graduation party. I was like, okay, so congratulations, eventually you you made your points, so let's do life. And then my dad called me and said, okay, now you're done with your first degree, what do you want to do? I said, me, I'm not doing NYSC, I want to go for masters. So I started my NYSC journey, and then I left for my masters, started my PhD. Midway, I said, you know what? It's time to come back to Nigeria. To come back to, I did my master and I started my PhD in South Africa. I just say it's time for me to come back to Nigeria to do real work, because at the time I was getting boring. PhD can be doing work. I'm sure Dr. Dami knows that. So I came to Nigeria, I started my business. My dad then said, okay, so now you are smart. Come and take up a 9-to-5 job. I got a job with Access Bank and I turned it down. At the time, they were willing to pay 50,000 and in an official car after 6 months. So my dad said to me, so what do you want to do when everybody's dream is to get a job with Access Bank and then you say no? How? And I said, okay, that's okay. So what's more interesting than a job with Access Bank? I said, I want to start being a real estate consultant. And my dad said, agents. Like he were having a conversation and he went back. Agents. Jobs that illiterates do is what you, with all your smartness, you want to. I said, how can you be so smart and yet so foolish at the same time? So I told him this. I said, give me 5 years. Only 5 years. Everything anyone that would have worked in Access Bank would have achieved in 5 years. I will do it with a bonus. And we had a bet. He said, okay, let's see how we do it. Now, I'm making all these statements intentionally so that you can know that it's okay to be different. To understand that you have your goals set and your journey is yours, right? Apologies to parents. Don't let parents allow you use your life to correct their mistakes. Do you understand? Don't let them use your own life as an experiment to correct their mistakes. They have lived their life, decide to live yours. So I set out on my journey and I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to have a new task ahead of me. I started my life. Intentionally, my dad set out to frustrate me in the journey, just to prove a point. I started selling properties. My dad had legitimate clients, but refused to give it to me. I said, okay, it's fine. Fair play, like, no added advantage. But, long story short, I bought my first house. So I built that. So I then bought my own house on the island. I think I was 29? No, 27. I bought my car at 27. We currently own 3 estates. 2 in Abeokuta, 1 in Ekpe. We are launching another one in Ekpe next month. Before I was 30, and just before I became 30, my honorary doctorate degree, just recently we started up our microfinance bank and a cash shop. So we had that, 5 years came and then it's not even yet 5 years, and we sat down and we said, okay, let's review. My dad is a very analytical person, so he said, let's do a review of 5 years. And he said, okay, I think it's better that you were not even the Access Bank person altogether. It's okay for you to. So now, he sent his first children to me to mentor. That you don't have to be an engineer or pilot or anything. See, Dr. It's okay being a. So my dad calls me a money lawyer. So it's okay being a money lawyer, right? And so you know what, in my very short life, we've given out about 3 cars to different people. giving out a few plots of land out to people that are not deserving. So what am I saying? Understand your journey. Choose a path. Stick to it. And understand that while going through it, just like my father tried to frustrate my real estate journey, understand that it's going to come with some level of criticism. It's not going to be all smooth, like I said, live and so on. But realize that critics somehow sometimes will become fans when they see results. But until they see results, that's just any other person, right? Whilst you are on your journey, not everyone will agree with you, and you must be okay with it, right? You just must be okay with it, right? Next thing you need to also understand is the fact that you have a different mindset is not an excuse to do wrong things. The fact that you want to be different is not a platform for you to do nonsense. Now, every successful person started out different. Imagine Gabriel saying he wants to come to the bush and live in the city, right? It takes some level of guts to do that, right? Imagine that Gabriel saying he wants to resign as a professor of mathematics and wants to be a chair of a startup church, right? Imagine, I can go on and on and on and on. I mean, successful people make smart, seemingly unconventional decisions. But the moment you choose that path, understand it will come with criticism, stick to your journey. Understand that at the end of the day, it will make sense. Forgive people in advance because they don't understand you. When you eventually break through, there will be a part of your success story. Right now, my other sister that was advised to withdraw is now a lawyer. So other people have become lawyers just because I decided to do Opeyemi Aladetola. So what would I say to you? If there's anything you're taking away from here, note that life will always happen to you. But in ensuring that you have buffers, whether you do what they want you to do or you do any other thing, life will happen. So why not just be the best version of you? I mean Dr. Opeyemi Aladetola.